State's most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, Missouri Southern faces off against Lincoln in some college basketball action. We'll have highlights from the men's and women's games. And one thing that's almost famous as the game itself during the Super Bowl is the commercials. For our Something to Talk About, we're asking what are the most memorable Super Bowl commercials you've seen? But first, a check on your forecast.
Cold front got on us yesterday, and while the cooler temperatures are here to stay, actually going to be the beneficiary of a whole bunch of sunshine today that'll take effect and warm us up into the 40s, if not a 50 every now and then. Skywatch storm tracker clear as can be from the Freeman Health System sky camera where we sit at 25 degrees, but look at that wind chill right now. Woo-hoo-hoo! 17 degrees is all that it feels like, everybody. Considerably below the freezing mark to begin this Friday morning. Wind coming in once again, shifting on us. About the fourth consecutive day it's done that. Now from the southwest, but certainly a whole lot less intense than what we had yesterday. But wind chills do drop as low as 17 in Webb City and Carthage. How about 18 in Mount Vernon and Iola? As far as what we're looking at for future track, we're able to get up into high 40s, low 50s even this afternoon, thanks in part to clearing skies. But then overnight and into Saturday, cold front comes back and gets us. We got not only some rain that appears late Saturday morning, but even some snow on the top part of it for Saturday afternoon that then spreads down to the evening hours. Not widespread, but the wintry mix will be there, and then it's almost like a secondary cold front. That's because it is. It's got two of them back to back. That's why those temperatures continue to drop down. Sunday is going to be a chilly one, highs only in the 30s, and then next week, call it the good old-fashioned Arctic blast hanging in there as we see daily highs in the 20s, overnight lows in the teens.
Yeah, it will definitely be a cold weekend, that's for sure.
And you're gonna have to help me today because I noticed it when I got up this morning.
Okay.
That low pressure system that came in yesterday, I feel like I'm in an airplane right now.
Oh, yeah, that happens to me a lot too.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Yeah.
Do you need some gums you can pop?
No, I can't. That's the thing. I can't get them to pop. I'm over here going, I can't. And I won't. It won't work. So I apologize if I mishear anything.
I found sometimes if you take like a nasal decongestant, it'll...
No, you thought I was kidding around, didn't you?
Yeah. If you take a nasal decongestant, man, I do.
I may end up doing that then in between shows.
Yeah. We'll work on that. All right, thanks, Michael. Missouri House and Senate are working in tandem on legislation to counter future federal gun laws. In the House, the bill is known as the Second Amendment Preservation Act. It seeks to invalidate federal laws or other actions deemed to infringe on a person's Second Amendment right to bear arms. The legislation would allow someone to sue police departments starting at $50,000. Opponents, including some police agencies, say that would amount to defunding the police. The state Senate is working on identical legislation. Missouri governor reports COVID-19 numbers are on a downward trend. In a news conference yesterday, Governor Parson said the positivity rate for COVID-19 tests has dropped dramatically.
On the COVID-19 front, we continue to make progress each day. Missouri's positivity rate is down to 9.3%, 15 points lower than a high of 24.4 in November. Hospitalization has significantly decreased as well. This is extremely encouraging news, and I want to again thank Missourians for their efforts.
The governor also said 600,000 Missourians will have received a vaccine by the end of this week. That number remains lower than expected, though. The governor says that's due to a supply issue. The governor said he addressed that issue with the president's office on a governor's call, and he expects it to be remedied in a few weeks. The coronavirus has been rough on many businesses, but it's also helped create some new ones, and that includes Carl Junction Company, Envirotex LLC. That's in the business of disinfecting everything in rooms, including the air, with an electrostatic sprayer. The EPA says that electrostatic sprayers apply a positive charge to a liquid disinfectant. And that positively charged disinfectant then attaches to negatively charged surfaces, which allows for a more efficient coating. Envirotex LLC provides a fogging service, which is a method endorsed by the CDC to disinfect both surfaces and the air, and uses a product found on the EPA's IN list of COVID-19 disinfectants. A Webb City business is looking to quench your thirst for Super Bowl related items. KOAM's Bronte Sorosky has that story.
As the Super Bowl grows near, local businesses are finding ways to get into the spirit. Salty Sloth, a health drink business in Webb City, decided to create 2 new drinks, the Mahomie and the Brady.
We originally were just going to do a Mahomie drink, and then we actually had a customer that walked in with a mask for the Buccaneers, and so I was like, okay, we can't just do one drink, we have to do one for each team, we got to be fair.
Liam Harrison, a Tom Brady fan, is hoping for a Chiefs loss and is happy about there being 2 options.
It's just kind of cool because you get like a Bucks versus Chiefs aspect of it within the, like in Salty Sloth, so just kind of, like I said, it just adds to the festivity of the times with the Super Bowl being around the corner.
When Trey Frisbee, a huge Chiefs fan, was asked if he would try the Brady, his answer was very clear.
If I was stranded on a desert and that was the only thing that I had available to me, I would try to drink the sand before I did that. Nope, not gonna happen.
In the end, Salty Sloth just hopes their drinks get people excited for the game. In Webb City, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Salty Sloth says they've been selling more of their Mahomie drink than the Brady. Not surprising. It's 5:07.
Little rebound today. Temperatures able to make it back up into the high 40s, low 50s with plenty of sunshine. And then we sit back and wait for rain to begin. Late Saturday morning, transitioning to snow for the afternoon hours. And an additional cold front putting us with a little Arctic air there, beginning Super Bowl Sunday all the way into next week.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, previewing the ads.
Well-known brands opting out of Super Bowl ads this year, making room for a handful of newcomers. I'm Kevin Cork in Washington with a look at commercials for the big game and what kind of messages they may tackle. That's coming up.
Plus, Pitt State and UCM face off on the court. We'll have highlights and why a single-shot coronavirus vaccine could soon receive FDA approval. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Pitt State Gorillas returned home last night, hosting Central Missouri. We'll start on the women's side. Big one for the Gorillas against one of the best teams in the country. Central Missouri, currently number 21 in the nation, riding a 5-game winning streak, 12-2 overall. Great start for the Gorillas. Maya Williams hits the 3, and then Williams, the nice look across to Tristan Gegg. Gegg had 9 in the first half. Kaylee Teeter, she gets going in the second. Watch the smooth floater right here. She also had 9 points in the first half. Sydney Crane, big shot. She finished with 10 points as the Gorillas up 7 at the halftime break. Titans up in the third. Gegg, and the foul. Game high 26 for Tristan Gegg. PSU with a 2-point lead going into the fourth. Gracie Holden comes up big for Central. Jennies take a 3-point lead. 22 points for Holden as Central Missouri hangs around and finishes it off. Final score 76-71.
They just kept going to their post. They do to any team they play, not just against us, because like I said, they're freshmen and Nyjah, they're studs. I mean, they use them well and they're coached well as well, so it's tough when you have so many threats to guard.
Men's game, Pitt State trying for its 4th straight win, first Central Missouri possession. A 3 late in the shot clock, so we'll transition to the other end. Quentin Hardwick. Wow, that's a tough drive right there. PSU is down 10 just a few minutes in, though. Then they get it rolling. Martin Boats open at the top of the key for 3. RJ Forney, same spot, same result. Ryan Pippins was the guy as well. He had 26 points. Gorillas make it 4 straight. Final score 79-72. Missouri Southern Lions also at home for an MIAA doubleheader. Lions hit the floor last night against Lincoln. Second meeting of the season between the two teams. Southern women aiming to sweep the season series after beating the Tigers by 16 earlier this year. Lion playmakers trying to get going early. Carly Turnbull, tough move. Lincoln did a good job though, held Carly to just 4 points in the first half. Nia Jackson comes up with the steal and the score. Lincoln capitalizing on the turnover. Anna Hall, that's a tough little step through right there. She had 6 points in the first half. Lions come out firing in the second. Caitlin Honeycutt knocks down a three. Caitlin Honeycutt knocks down a three. Carly Turnbull finding her rhythm. She finishes with 19 points and 5 rebounds. Big third quarter gets Southern by Lincoln. They win it 70-65.
We came out that third quarter after playing a little lackluster in the first half and really played well in the third quarter. We got shots that we wanted. We missed a couple shots that I thought we could make. Well, I'm proud of the kids because they did. They fought and we found a way to win the basketball game.
On the men's side, Lions lost to Lincoln earlier this season, so now they're aiming to split the season series from last night, and Southern off on a hot start. 12-0 run, thanks in part to Cam Martin. Then R.J. Smith punch it. Two-handed. Jordan Camper from Lincoln gets the Blue Tigers climbing back in it, but Martin can't be stopped. 24 points last night. And then Kyle Young charging to the net with the easy right hand. Missouri Southern men get some revenge as they win this one 72-66. McCully senior Kaylee Teeter reaching a milestone last night, topping 1,000 career points with a free throw in the fourth quarter against Lamar. Warriors won the game 48-37, and here's Teeter as she joins the 1,000-point club.
I was mainly worried about the win, 1,000 points. It's like a personal goal, but a team goal is more important to me than a personal goal.
Warriors now 2-0 in the Warrior Classic with last night's win. Kaylee, from all of us here at KOAM, a hearty congratulations to you. Chiefs just 2 days, 12 hours away from playing for a second straight title, facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Sunday, Super Bowl 55, right here on KOAM. Kansas City expected to arrive in Tampa on Saturday. Well, of course, things a little bit different this year. Not really a surprise that they're in this game because it went 14-2 in the regular season. But on the other side, could be a little bit surprised that Tampa Bay made it. 7-9 last season. Brought in that number 12 dude. Goes by the name of Brady. Here they are with a shot at a ring 1 year later.
The great quarterbacks all have it. They have the ability to will themselves on other people to make sure that everybody has bought into the cause, and the cause is a ring, putting a championship in your trophy case. So Tom brings that attitude every single day, and it permeates throughout the entire locker room.
Coming up in our next half hour, one last chance to put your football knowledge to the test and win some real money. We call it Run It Back Trivia. Right after Nation Watch, we're going to ask 3 different trivia questions that you can answer just from the comfort of your own home. It's very similar in nature to the KOAM News Now Insta Poll, except you just type in KOAMnewsnow.com/trivia. KOAMnewsnow.com/trivia. Person who answers not just correctly, but also the fastest wins a $50 gift card. Don't forget to fill out the form afterwards so we know who to send it to. And again, Run It Back Trivia kicks off after Nation Watch. I'd say if you're around here about 6:35, you're going to have plenty of time to play. So 6:35 this morning, 5:30 p.m. Sunday, right here on KOAM. So to come on the KOAM Morning News, why some big-name celebrities are bringing attention to a farmers' protest in India. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Let's jump on into the Skywatch Storm Tracker, where it's a beautiful, clear Friday start, but it is a cold one outside. Freeman Health System Sky Camera sits at 25 degrees with a wind chill right now of only 17. Everybody considerably below the freezing mark. When we talk about wind chills, we've been as low as 17 degrees. Now, for future track, while we clear off today and are able to make it up into the high 40s, if not even low 50s later on, Saturday morning, we've got developments that will begin in the form of rain and eventually even turn into some snow for Saturday afternoon. Super Bowl Sunday going to be a little bit of a chilly one as our temperatures will be in the 30s there. All right, now KOAM News Now Facebook page this morning. You know, the Super Bowl commercials can be as iconic as the game itself. And with big name companies opting out of advertising because of the pandemic, smaller advertisings hoping to take center stage and feature some uplifting messages. Kevin Cork takes a look at what commercials might look like during Sunday's matchup.
The Super Bowl is the most watched television event of the year, and after the year we've had, the pressure is on for advertisers. Big name brands like Budweiser, Coca-Cola, and Hyundai sitting out of Super Bowl ads this year, as newcomers now hope to steal the spotlight.
You have brands like Fiverr, which is an online freelance marketplace, Scott's Miracle-Gro, which of course with lawn care and gardening during the pandemic gaining in relevance, they decided to buy in this year.
Commercials are expected to take on a light-hearted, humorous tone this year, aiming to lift spirits during the pandemic. But industry experts say there's a fine line between being funny and being offensive.
What if this could change the world?
Analysts are also anticipating more brands to feature messages of diversity and inclusion.
That doesn't mean leaning into social messaging in every one of the spots, but rather embracing diversity, no matter if you're doing a lighthearted ad or one with more of a social message.
Just like any other Super Bowl, companies are shelling out big bucks to get on the big screen. A 30-second spot cost a whopping $5.5 million. And believe it or not, that's actually down from last year.
That price tag gives everyone sticker shock every year because you have to consider that's just the price that brands are paying for airtime.
Super Bowl ad prices have certainly skyrocketed over the decades. Back in 1967, a 30-second commercial for the first ever Super Bowl cost, wait for it, about $40,000. Incredible.
Our question, best Super Bowl ad that you can remember. Let us know on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. We'll come back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, there may soon be a third COVID-19 vaccine available in the U.S. Emergency authorization for the product sought as vaccine shortages remain a reality nationwide. John Lawrence reports.
Johnson & Johnson is asking the Food and Drug Administration for an emergency use authorization of its single-shot COVID-19 vaccine.
This could not come at a better time. Cases are dropping rapidly in the United States. The 7-day moving average for new cases is down 54% since its peak in January. Now is the time to put the fire out.
A group of experts will discuss the data at a meeting later this month. If J&J gets the okay from the full FDA, the vaccine goes to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which will decide if the vaccine is safe for the general public and who should get it first.
This is the perfect vaccine for mass vaccination events where you don't really want to try and get people back.
The pharmaceutical giant says its vaccine is 85% effective at preventing hospitalizations and deaths in all of the areas where it was tested.
We obviously got to vaccinate more and more people, but this is significant development.
The U.S. has placed an order for 100 million doses, and Johnson & Johnson says it can deliver that amount by June. Health experts say mask wearing and other prevention efforts are still necessary, but there is room for some optimism.
When we get into the fall, late summer, I think we have a good chance of not saying normal, because I think that's a whole different term nowadays, but being in a much, much better position.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Talks on the coronavirus relief package are not moving smoothly. There's still a deep divide between President Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion plan and a $618 billion proposal from a group of Republicans. The president says he's willing to move ahead with his plan with or without the GOP's support. A drug used to treat gout seems to be helping COVID patients. That's according to a study in the British Medical Journal. Researchers in Brazil conducted a small trial and found the drug colchicine helped cut the need for oxygen therapy and hospital stays in COVID patients. COVID, like gout, causes inflammation. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Despite the fact that we start our Friday with wind chills as low as the teens, we are going to get some sunshine and have a nice little rebound. Highs in the high 40s, even a 50 every now and then. Rain kicks in for Saturday late morning, turns into some snow by the afternoon hours, and then we plummet down with some Arctic air. Look at those nighttime lows all the way down into the teens for the beginning of next week.
How the Missouri legislature is working to counter any future federal gun laws, plus why COVID-19 cases are trending downward, and how one local company says it's bringing the fight to COVID-19.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, something to talk about on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. We're asking, what are the most memorable Super Bowl commercials you've seen? And our own Jacob Leonard tells us what to watch for in this Sunday's game. But first, a check on your forecast.
Start on the Skywatch storm tracker. Unfortunately, that also means it's going to be a chilly start. There's nothing to block any of that heat from escaping at any point in time. It only feels like 17 degrees from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera actual temperature, sitting at 25. Everybody below the freezing mark this morning. 29 in Pittsburgh, 25 in Carthage, 29 in Chanute. Wind shifting once again. Now, the nice thing is that gives us a little rebound from our cold front that moved in yesterday, but at the same point in time, we're bottoming out with 16-degree wind chills in Nevada, Stockton, and Independence. As far as the national perspective goes, the big storm system that created blizzard warnings in the upper Midwest yesterday has now moved over the Great Lakes. Look at those temperatures to the north of us. My goodness, 18 below in Grand Forks, 11 below in Minneapolis. So let's consider ourselves lucky that even though it's cold this morning, we get a nice little rebound and able to work up into the high 40s, even 50s for later on this afternoon. Our next development is going to be tomorrow late morning. It'll start as rain as it moves in from the west and then flip over into snow for Saturday afternoon. So be very careful, especially if you're traversing to the north at any point in time after that. Kind of locked in with more Arctic air as our daily highs as we head into next week, stuck in the 20s, overnight lows. We'd be lucky if we see a 20.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty cold at night this weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah,
even during the day.
That nice, pleasant start to February, that's going to be a thing of the past by the time we get from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
We'll be thinking about the warm weather we had in January. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, the Missouri House and Senate are working in tandem on legislation to counter future federal gun laws. In the House, the bill is known as the Second Amendment Preservation Act. It seeks to invalidate federal laws or other actions deemed to infringe on a person's Second Amendment right to bear arms. The legislation would allow someone to sue police departments, starting at $50,000. Opponents, including some police agencies, say that would amount to defunding the police. The state Senate is working on identical legislation. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation says bone fragments found in Parsons, Kansas, are human. On Monday, Parsons got a tip about the fragments and asked the KBI for help analyzing the bones. Found the fragments were part of a human skull. They're now using DNA analysis to identify who the bones belong to. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Parsons Police Department. Legislation in Kansas aims to address backlogs in sexual assault kits. It would require all Kansas law enforcement agencies to adopt a written policy that says departments must submit all sexual assault kits to a forensic lab for analysis. It would also increase the number of years that unreported kits are retained by the KBI. The legislation is in response to a backlog of kits in the statewide inventory that had not been tested. More than 2,200 kits were discovered in a 2017 audit. Missouri Governor Mike Parson says the sluggish pace of COVID-19 vaccine distribution is a supply issue. Reporter Angie Ricono has more.
By population, but something's wrong here.
The number of vaccines being shipped to Missouri clearly troubles Governor Parson. Today he addressed it in a governor's phone call with the White House.
because that's a real problem for us when you look at the shortage of doses for anybody. But somebody's getting those doses that should be coming to Missouri, so we need to find out why that is.
Do you think that's going to change in the next few weeks based on that phone call?
I most certainly do.
Parson is now sold on vaccinations taking place through hospitals and the National Guard, expressing disappointment with pharmacies, saying they just weren't fast enough.
But it's just a difficult, when the supply is not even close to meeting the demand, it's difficult whatever you do, and it's going to be a slow process, and you're not going to get vaccine as quick as people would like the vaccine.
We learned many of us will now navigate two systems. There will be state vaccinations and some distributed at the federal level. Those will be through pharmacies.
And there's no rule, there's no playbook for this. I mean, everybody's trying to figure out what is the best way to do this and how do you get it done. And the federal government don't have the answers either.
Parson gives his office credit for allowing counties to decide if they want mask mandates. He's proud many Missouri children are in school, pointing out the numbers of children on free and reduced lunch.
I think it all come back to a balanced approach. There's no easy answers. Nobody had the answers. And I will just tell you, I mean, whatever decisions you made, you could argue a lot of them both ways. You know, there was people that was very passionate on both sides of it.
In a news conference, Governor Parson said the positivity rate for COVID-19 test has dropped dramatically. Coronavirus has been rough on many businesses, but it's also helped create some new ones. That includes Carl Junction Company and Envirotex LLC. It's in the business of disinfecting everything in rooms, including the air, with an electrostatic sprayer. The EPA says electrostatic sprayers apply a positive charge to a liquid disinfectant, and that positively charged disinfectant then attaches to negatively charged surfaces, which allows for a more efficient coating. Envirotex LLC provides a fogging service, which is a method endorsed by the CDC to disinfect both surfaces and the air, and uses a product found on the EPA's in list of COVID-19 disinfectants.
The solution that we use, it kills all airborne pathogens. It is not specific to COVID. People are all talking about COVID. That is the big push right now. But what we also do is it also kills the flu, MRSA, mold, bacteria. In social services.
Grant says the question she gets most often is, how often should the service be used? She says there's no concrete answer because it depends on how busy a business or building is, but she typically recommends bi-monthly foggings. The healthcare marketplace is reopened for the first time due to COVID-19. You can now apply for health coverage through the marketplace outside of the standard enrollment period. Normally, applying for coverage out of the enrollment period would require special circumstances, such as divorce or birth, but now it's open to everyone.
You need insurance. You cannot find affordable insurance. You work for a small business that doesn't give you affordable insurance. You don't have to prove anything. You can apply for this in this open enrollment period.
You have from February 15th until May 15th to apply in this special enrollment period. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. Our very own Jesse Irwin sits down with Jacob Lerner to talk about Sunday's game and what to look for. Plus, how pop singer Rihanna has brought attention to protesting farmers in India. But first, it's 5:37.
Wind chills as low as 16 degrees on this Friday morning, but eventually the sunshine's going to kick us up into the high 40s, low 50s. Then we'll pay attention to rain that develops late Saturday morning and flips over into snow for the afternoon, and a chilly next week ahead, to say the least. Be back with more KOAM Morning News and World Watch right after this.
Topping World Watch, pop singer Rihanna has started a social media storm after shining the spotlight on India's massive farmer protest. Ian Lee has the story from London.
A battle at the barricades rages in India's capital. Farmers behind the wheel trying to steer clear of new reforms. Tens of thousands have been protesting for months, and their struggle isn't going unnoticed. R&B megastar Rihanna asked her 100 million Twitter followers, why aren't we talking about this? Farmers fear the new laws will leave them poorer and at the mercy of large corporations.
The government is trying to wage a war against the farmers.
But India's government argues they're necessary to modernize the country's farms. That didn't persuade climate activist Greta Thunberg, who tweeted a message of solidarity, and Vice President Kamala Harris's niece Mina, who posted, "We all should be outraged." But all this international attention could be counterproductive. Indian celebrities have shot back, throwing support behind the government and telling outsiders to back off. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Negotiations between farmers and government representatives have failed. Indian officials have proposed suspending the laws for 18 months, but farmers want the new laws thrown out. Opponents of the Myanmar military coup kept up their opposition campaign Thursday for the third straight night. Demonstrators are creating a barrage of noise in protest, many banging cooking utensils, plastic containers, and bottles for around 20 minutes. Military authorities warned residents not to create instability. Fears of arrest also rising amongst many, forcing the majority of protests to take place at night. Turkey rejects worldwide criticism of its crackdown on student protest. This happened yesterday. The nation spoke out against the backlash for going after students opposing the appointment of a government loyalist as head to Istanbul's top university. UN officials, as well as officials from the United States and European Union, have criticized Turkey's handling of the protest. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page, Super Bowl ads taking on a different tone this year, with big-name companies opting out because of the pandemic. Smaller advertisers are hoping to take center stage, featuring some uplifting messages. Our question to you: is there a Super Bowl ad that is your favorite, that resonates, that you remember? Rocky Cunningham, he goes with Betty White and the Snickers commercial. That was a good one. He says it was hilarious, and Rocky also passes along a little "love you, Aunt Pat." Michelle Piscini with a little "Good morning, KOM and Mama." Good morning, Michelle. So many good ones, especially Budweiser. Only one I've hated was the Puppy Baby Monkey. That was hard to forget. Guy, he has How to Deprogram the Brainwash to PBS special. I will look into that guy. Becky Mingarelli says Puppy meets Clydesdale and they become best friends, which, coincidentally enough, happens to be the picture that we used for our Something to Talk About this morning, Becky. She says, too bad their beer doesn't taste better. Although I did see the other day where the "Where's the Beef" commercial started as a Super Bowl ad, so that's another pretty good blast from the past, that is. And Sarah Ticknell drives back, says Budweiser with a streaking lamb is always the ones that sticks out in the mind to me most. Appreciate all the engagement. We'll continue to roll through your comments. Come back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. In the battle against the coronavirus, Johnson & Johnson has asked the FDA to approve emergency use of its single-dose vaccine. That raises the hope of the U.S. having a third vaccine within weeks as the country tries to speed up the slow-going vaccination effort. The Missouri House and Senate are working in tandem on legislation to counter future federal gun laws. In the House, the bill is known as the Second Amendment Preservation Act. It seeks to invalidate federal laws or other actions deemed to infringe on a person's Second Amendment right to bear arms. The legislation would allow someone to sue police departments starting at $50,000. Opponents, including some police agencies, say that would amount to defunding the police. The state Senate is working on identical legislation. Missouri's governor reports COVID-19 numbers are on a downward trend. In a news conference yesterday, Governor Parsons said the positivity rate for COVID-19 tests has dropped dramatically. The governor also said 600,000 Missourians will have received a vaccine by the end of this week. That number remains lower than expected, though, and that's due to a supply issue. Coronavirus has been rough on many businesses, but it has also helped to create some new ones, and that includes Carl Junction Company Envirotex LLC. It's in the business of disinfecting everything in rooms, including the air, with an electrostatic sprayer. Envirotex LLC provides a fogging service, which is a method endorsed by the CDC to disinfect both surfaces and the air, and uses a product found on the EPA's in list of COVID-19 disinfectants. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Luckily, we're going to get a good dose of sunshine. That's going to help us get out of the cold front that we were mired in Yesterday, as those temperatures continue to drop, even with wind chills that right now are down into the teens, we'll be able to make it up all the way into the high 40s and low 50s here later on. Of course, we couldn't escape a little February weather headed into the weekend, so let's go ahead and transition into Saturday, because later Saturday morning it will begin as rain, and then it's going to flip over to snow for Saturday afternoon. So if you're traveling up to the north, need you to be especially apprised of that situation before it continues off to the east. Secondary cold front is on its way. A little Arctic blast for next week, because our temperatures are going to be stuck in the 20s, and that's for daily highs. And of course, we always have the latest on the Skywatch weather app. KOAM News Now Facebook page. Look, you know me. I'm old man, get off my lawn, curmudgeon, blah, 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 blah. Look, I haven't gotten the mood for Chiefs Spirit Week. It's Wear Red Day. And so what we do is we've picked a different theme each and every day. It's pretty obvious that today's just about wearing your Chiefs gear. You take a picture, whether it be you, the kids, the spouse, I don't care if it's your pet. Submit that on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. And what we do is we compile those, and then during our evening newscasts, we get a chance to kind of run through all the wonderful pictures that you have sent us. Also, too, I want to point out it's National Wear Red Day. And if you're not familiar with that, it is a day that raises awareness about heart disease and stroke in women. So you can actually make it a 2-for-1 by not only supporting your team, but also supporting awareness for a very, very dangerous health condition. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page, our countdown to kickoff as we stand at 2 days, 11 hours, 37 minutes, thanks in part to our friends from Aaron Sachs and Associates, as we look forward to kickoff right here at 5:30 on KOAM. Now, time to check in with not only our own Jesse Irwin, but our own Jacob Leonard as well.
Well, it's been a long time coming. We've spent all week talking about it, and now we are joined by our very own Jacob Leonard, who is going to break this down for us, because the Chiefs were in this last year. A lot's happened since then, but just because it's a different team doesn't mean everything about this approach is different. So, I mean, how do you compare last year's Chiefs team and the team that's going to be playing on Sunday?
I think this year's Chiefs team, I think they play stylistically the same kind of way. They still have the same big players. That, the faces that are out there are pretty much the same. I think the difference is last year, they're on a 50-year drought of not winning this thing, and so there's the drive to get back and to win it this year. Right. It's kind of a different pressure trying to. You're the top dog now. Trying to stay there is harder than getting there.
It's interesting because it's a different type of motivation, but at the same time, I feel like the Chiefs, to a certain degree, even though they're the reigning champs, there's this weird underdog thought about them because of Brady. It's like that almost trumps everything. I mean, how do you sort of weigh those pros and cons of being the reigning champs versus trying to keep this guy from winning the 10th Super Bowl appearance that he makes?
I think there's the Brady factor, but I think also this year they've heard kind of the national commentary that they're not winning by enough, or they've been in so many one possession games that could have gone either way, and I think they've probably heard that, and I think that kind of drives them more than who's on the other sideline.
Interesting. Okay, so then we talk about the fact that both sidelines are in Tampa Bay's home court, right? I mean, they're playing at Raymond James Stadium. I do think, other than maybe it benefiting the kicker, they're playing in Tampa. There's half the stadium's going to be filled because of the pandemic. You've got the pirate ship is being removed out of there. I mean, in some way, and it's the Super Bowl. Home field advantage can only mean so much when you're playing on the world's biggest stage, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think it's really cool. Tampa's the first team ever that's going to play the Super Bowl in their home stadium, so that's obviously neat. I don't know how much of a home field advantage it's going to be because the stadium's not packed, but I think it did kind of add to the Bucs getting there because they had to see all the Super Bowl decorations and stuff going up around their stadium while they were still in the NFC playoffs. Thinking, are we going to let somebody come and play this game in our place? So I think that kind of helped them get there. But as far as the actual game, outside of the travel and having to stay somewhere else, I'm not sure it's going to be a like the normal type of home field advantage.
Yeah, well, when we talk about the difference in maybe how teams are getting there, their arrival, I mean, the game's the same, right? It's the same 4 quarters of football, but how is this weekend going to look for the teams, maybe compared to other Super Bowl teams in the past?
I think once they get to late Saturday, early Sunday, like it's going to feel the same. But the week leading up to it has been so much different. Normally they get there a week ahead and they have the media days and it's fun and all the players are stationed around and there's a whole bunch of media there and
there's a ritual to it.
Yeah, and it's a kind of a big celebration. Fans go and they celebrate all week. They have the Super Bowl experience for fans. And as far as the teams go, they're just kind of going to be at their own places. I think the Chiefs got there today. It's just one of those deals where the week leading up to it feels different, but once they get closer to the game, I imagine it's going to feel just like any other game.
Yeah, the Super Bowl's the Super Bowl at the end of the day. All right, we'll see you on Sunday. We'll be right back in the KOAM Morning News right after this.
We'll get a little help when that sun rises at 7:17 because our wind chills right now as low as 16 degrees will eventually jump up into the 50s. Wind shifts comes in from the south, certainly not as windy as what it was yesterday, so let's consider ourselves lucky in that aspect. The developments are back for tomorrow as the cloud cover begins to build. We'll get rain for Saturday morning and then snow up to the north. Then that snow begins to spread into the central portion of the 4 states before it finally pushes off to the east. It's going to be a chilly overnight and a chilly Super Bowl Sunday with highs only in the 30s and another Arctic cold front following next week. All the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
How the Missouri legislature is working to counter any future federal gun laws. Plus why COVID-19 cases are trending downward and how one local company says it's bringing the fight to COVID-19.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, a new age for Amazon as its CEO steps down. We'll tell you what comes next. And a little bit later, we're challenging you to run it back trivia. Be sure to tune in after Nation Watch and participate for the chance to win a $50 gift card. But first, a check on your forecast.
Cold one out there and it's clear as can be, so still got a gorgeous shot of the moon. I guess that's one positive, but 28 degrees in the Freeman Health System sky camera with a wind chill right now of 23. Now these are pure temperatures, everybody below the freezing mark. 28 in Carthage, 25 in Independence, and a pair of 28s in Fort Scott and Nevada. Wind shifts on us once again, but luckily not as blustery as yesterday. But when you walk outside, we've been as low as 17 in Nevada and Stockton. Feels like 21 in Neosho and 22 in Parsons. Bus stop forecast. After we get past sunrise at 7:17, then we get a nice little bump up. We'll be sitting in the mid-30s there by the 9 a.m. hour. And surprisingly enough, even with the cold front that worked in yesterday, able to make it up into the high 40s, low 50s this afternoon. As far as what we have for the weekend, number one, we're going to prepare for rain and snow on Saturday. It'll kick in for the late morning hours as it works in from the west, and the snow will eventually spread from the north to the central portion of the 4 states for the afternoon hours, work its way through off to the east. It's another Arctic blast. Takes us down all the way into overnight lows for the teens for Saturday into Sunday, and a cool Super Bowl Sunday sitting only in the 30s.
That's right. Going to be a cold one for the Super Bowl.
Going to be cold next week, too.
Will it be cold down in Tampa as well? Will it be cold down in Tampa as well?
No, 75. The only thing they're worried about is rain. For those of you that missed it, the low pressure system that moved over us has destroyed my hearing. I feel like I'm eternally stuck in an airplane right now.
Man. Hopefully it'll get better.
I can't pop. I can't get them to pop. Like it honestly, like I feel like I'm at 50,000 feet and we're descending.
That's painful. All right, thanks, Michael. The Missouri House and Senate are working in tandem on legislation to counter future federal gun laws. In the House, the bill is known as the Second Amendment Preservation Act. It seeks to invalidate federal laws or other actions deemed to infringe on a person's Second Amendment right to bear arms. The legislation would allow someone to sue police departments, starting at $50,000. Opponents, including some police agencies, say that would amount to defunding the police. The state Senate is working on identical legislation. Missouri's governor reports COVID-19 numbers are on a downward trend. In a news conference yesterday, Governor Parson says the positivity rate for COVID-19 tests has dropped dramatically.
COVID-19 front, we continue to make progress each day. Missouri's positivity rate is down to 9.3%, 15 points lower than a high of 24.4 in November. Hospitalization has significantly decreased as well. This is extremely encouraging news, and I want to again thank Missourians for their efforts.
The governor also said 600,000 Missourians will have received a vaccine by the end of this week. That number remains lower than expected. The governor says that's due to a supply issue. The governor said he addressed that issue with the president's office on a governor's call, and he expects it to be remedied in a few weeks. The coronavirus has been rough on many businesses, but it's also helped create some new ones, and that includes a Carl Junction company that's in the business of disinfecting everything in rooms, including the air, with an electrostatic sprayer. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to the company owner and a customer to learn more.
Carl Junction, Missouri's Envirotex LLC is only a month and a half old, but they've already landed some big clients, including the Joplin Community Clinic, some local bars and grills, and the Carl Junction Area Chamber of Commerce. They're in demand because they're in the business of killing the coronavirus via electrostatic fogging.
It's a great way to take that next step. We clean, we wear masks, we social distance, but just another added thing to protect ourselves, protect myself, protect my employees, and then also just the people that come and go.
The EPA says that electrostatic sprayers apply a positive charge to the liquid disinfectant, and that positively charged disinfectant then attaches to negatively charged surfaces, which allows for a more efficient coating. Envirotex LLC provides a fogging service, which is a method endorsed by the CDC to disinfect both surfaces and the air, and uses a product found on the EPA's list of COVID-19 disinfectants. The specific disinfectant used is a company secret, but I was able to confirm it's on the EPA's list.
The solution that we use, it kills all airborne pathogens. It is not specific to COVID. People are all talking about COVID. That is the big push right now. But what we also do is it also kills the flu, MRSA, mold, bacteria.
Envirotex LLC co-owner Jan Grant also answered the question she gets most often. How often should this service be used?
There is not a concrete answer as far as how long the fogging lasts. It has to do with the amount of traffic through your business, through your home, through your vehicle. Once a business or a structure has been treated, it is good until it is contaminated again.
Envirotex LLC recommends bi-monthly foggings to most of its customers. In Carl Junction, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
If you'd like to see what the EPA has to say about electrostatic spraying or see its list of COVID-19 disinfectants, we provided links in the story on our KOAMnewsnow.com website. Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce members have a new tool to operate more efficiently. That tool is called the Chamber Academy. Members will find classes covering topics such as career development and sales and marketing.
So now a small business owner can jump online, log in with their information, and access a class that may have taken place earlier in the day or a few weeks ago that they really wanted to see.
The Chamber Academy is also open to non-chamber members for a fee. It's $19 per class. 6:07.
Temperatures today actually going to be able to make it into the high 40s and low 50s. This despite wind chills in the teens right now. Mostly sunny and don't really have to worry about a whole lot of changes until we get to tomorrow late morning, when we'll get rain and snow to the north, and then the snow spreading into the central portion of the 4 states for the afternoon.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, yesterday was World Cancer Day, and a new report is changing up what people know about the disease. Plus why CEO and founder of Amazon is stepping down. And our very own Jesse Irwin brings us the details of what it's like to be behind the scenes of a 100-plus camera production. Sunday's game. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Money Watch this morning, a monumental shift at Amazon. Founder and CEO Jeff Bezos announces he's stepping down after nearly 3 decades with the retail giant. So what's next? The move comes at a time when Amazon is both on top and under scrutiny. Mandy Gaither reports.
A new age for Amazon. Founder Jeff Bezos is stepping down as chief executive later this year, and longtime employee Andy Jassy will take over as CEO.
It's going to be a different future. It's a different kind of front man for Amazon.
Just an online bookstore 3 decades ago is now among the most valuable companies in the world. Bezos will remain on the board as executive chair. He's departing on a high note.
We built a $1.7 trillion company that's probably done more to shape our economic reality than probably any other company or entrepreneur.
At the same time, when Jassy takes over, he'll be inheriting some baggage. Even though the pandemic has led to massive growth, it's led to supply chain issues and labor issues. And Amazon is dealing with growing scrutiny from lawmakers around the world, some claiming Amazon exerts monopoly power over sellers. Last year, Bezos was called to testify in front of Congress.
It's going to be Andy Jassy now in that hot seat talking to politicians.
Jassy has been a close Bezos confidant for decades. He's the leader of Amazon Web Services. In an email to employees, Bezos writes, "I intend to focus my energies on new products and early initiatives," saying the move frees up more time for him to spend on his space project, Blue Origin, and his newspaper, The Washington Post, among other passions.
He's still going to be there trying to expand Amazon in new directions like healthcare and satellite internet access. And, it's going to be really interesting to watch.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Bezos says he will transition to the role of executive chair in the third quarter of this year, which starts July 1st. He's still Amazon's biggest shareholder and is still going to be involved in key Amazon projects. Robinhood has lifted all of its temporary restrictions on trading. The stock trading app had placed limits on buying up certain names like GameStop and AMC Entertainment after a Reddit-inspired frenzy drove prices way up. It was part of an effort to hit back at hedge funds that were shorting the stocks. Robinhood and others involved in the unusual few days on Wall Street are expected to testify in a couple of weeks before the House Financial Services Committee. That will be interesting. And that's it for Money Watch. Coming up in our next half hour, you have a chance to put your football knowledge to the test and win some real money. It's Run It Back Trivia. Right after our Nation Watch segment, we'll ask 3 different trivia questions, which you can answer from the comfort of your own home. And it works just like the KOAM Instapoll, except this time you go to KOAMnewsnow.com/trivia. Person who answers, not just the correct answers, but the fastest, will win a $50 gift card. And don't forget to fill out the form afterwards so we know who to send it to. And again, Run It Back Trivia will kick off after Nation Watch. So if you make sure you're tuned in at 6:35, you should have plenty of time to play. We'll be right back.
CBS's director of engineering and operations once said that when you do Super Bowls, US Open tennis, Final Fours, World Series, you want to know that George Hoover is somewhere behind the camera. And this morning we are fortunate enough to be joined by George himself. And George, you've worked in the broadcast industry for a very long time. You are a pioneer when it comes to live remote broadcasts. And so ahead of the Super Bowl, I wanted to talk with you about what it's like putting together a Super Bowl broadcast, because I know you've been behind a fair amount of them. So, do you mind just explaining for us what it's like behind the lens?
No, thanks for having me on, Jess.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
The biggest challenge is this is CBS's A production team that's been working together for years, but the whole group since the beginning of the season, preseason, leading up to the game this year. So you've got a routine, you've got a plan. You've been used to doing shows with 25 or 30 cameras, and now all of a sudden you get to the big game. And there's all this ability to add more cameras, to add more replays, to add fancier graphics. But the biggest challenge for Jim Rickoff and Mike Arnold, the producer and director, is to not lose the game. That's their primary goal, is to cover the game. All this other stuff is enhancements so that they don't miss that replay that really told the story that may make the difference of the game. So
So when it comes to those obstacles that have been, there are all sorts of hurdles that we've seen over the past year. I mean, I know our station has seen hurdles. I know every station, every broadcast has. And so I'm putting together a Super Bowl broadcast. The viewership is going to be huge, and people are going to be sitting on their couch looking for this broadcast that might be, higher quality in a lot of ways than ever. So what kind of obstacles has the pandemic created for something of this magnitude?
Well, it does two things for you. There'll be about 20 tractor trailers outside of the stadium that will be providing the facilities for the production. And normally the crew sits in them in seating that's not a whole lot better than an airplane. You're very close together. You can't do that anymore. So a truck that might have had 20 or 30 people in it now has 5 or 6. So everybody is distanced out, hence the reason there's many, many trailers. But the other thing is a lot of people will be working from home, or they'll be working back at CBS Sports headquarters in Fort Lauderdale or in CBS New York. But a lot of those cameras that can be remote controlled, the operators are in another city. A lot of the graphics people and the replay people will be working somewhere else. So you don't have that same ability to sit down together and have the pre-show camera meeting with the camera guys and their replay guys to talk about how you're going to handle it. But you've been working that way all season, so it's not new for the big game. That's the main thing. Another little difference here is CBS has to bring in and have a number of backup crew people, because if there's a COVID infection with one of the crew members in a trailer, that whole trailer full of crew is going to be replaced for the game day. So there's essentially a reserve team back at the hotel room quarantined just in case they need to step up the day of the game. And of course the crew's being tested every day. They're practicing all the appropriate social distancing and hand sanitizing, all that kind of stuff. But it still is just an extra layer of stuff you have to deal with.
Well, George, we really, really appreciate you taking the time to share all of this with us. It's so easy to take for granted these broadcasts that millions of dollars are poured into, and we just sit at home and turn on the TV. But to sort of get a little insight into that is pretty special. It makes you appreciate what we're going to see on Sunday night a little bit more.
Well, thanks for talking to me, and enjoy the game on Sunday.
Thank you, sir. All right. Hey, we're going to have this full conversation with George on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com, and we will be right back on the KOAM Morning News after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning. It was World Cancer Day yesterday, and a new report released yesterday is shaking up what we know about this disease. For the first time in more than 20 years, breast cancer in women is the most common cancer in the world. Mandy Gaither has more.
There were nearly 2.3 million new cases of female breast cancer last year, making it the most commonly diagnosed cancer in the world, according to a new report.
Lung cancer has been the #1 cancer in the world for almost 2 decades, so to see that breast cancer has surpassed that is a little bit shocking.
The paper published in the Cancer Journal for Clinicians says female breast cancer made up 11.7% of all new cancer cases. Lung cancer is still ranked as the leading cause of cancer deaths. Atlanta OBGYN Dr. Sujatha Reddy says this report should serve as a wake-up call.
We need to, do better at treating breast cancer. We have treatments now, and we're working on new ones all the time, but continuing that fight's going to be where we're going to win this battle.
The report is based on estimates from 2020, so it's unclear how the pandemic will affect those cancer numbers in the future, since it's based on trends from previous years. With concerns of COVID-19, health experts worry about the decrease in critical cancer screenings. Dr. Reddy says starting at age 40, women need a mammogram every 1 to 2 years, earlier or more frequently, based on your family history or other risk factors. And you have the power to lower your risk.
While you can't control your genetics, you can control the other risk factors, a lot of which are your lifestyle. Be a healthy weight, exercise. Those are things you can control.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
According to the report, the 5 most commonly diagnosed cancers last year were female breast cancer, lung cancer, colorectal cancer, prostate cancer, and stomach cancers. Johnson & Johnson makes it official, asking the Food and Drug Administration for an emergency use authorization of its COVID-19 vaccine. The company put in the request for the single-shot vaccine on Thursday, calling it a pivotal step in the global fight against the virus. If the FDA decides to authorize the vaccine, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices will meet to discuss whether the vaccine should be given to Americans. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Cold start to our Friday with temperatures way below the freezing mark. Wind chills as low as 17 right now. Let's roll actual temperatures of 28 in Joplin and Carthage, 26 in Neodesha, and 28 in Fort Scott. Nationally speaking, big Arctic blast making its way through the upper plains. Dangerously cold temperatures as we see 18 below in Grand Forks, 10 below in Minneapolis. And so while we've been on the south side of this cold front, it certainly could be much worse. As far as what we're looking at on our Skywatch storm tracker, clean start, but once again, that's why it's so cold, because we don't have any cloud cover. But once the sun kicks in, we'll call sunrise 7:17 at Joplin Regional Airport. We are able to make it up into the 50s here later on today. It's going to be a nice looking afternoon and certainly not as blustery as what it was yesterday. No wind advisories to say the least, and humidity not as low as what it was yesterday when that wind really picked up. Regionally, from Future Track, we will have some action by the time we get into Saturday. Out to the west, we've got another front that's going to roll in. That's right, another cold front on its way here. And so here comes the rain and the snow for late Saturday morning. And then watch the snow as it pushes into the south central portion of the 4 states during the afternoon. Everything on and below I-44 will stay as rain. And then as this thing races off to the east, we lock in for our shot of the Arctic air. A chilly Super Bowl Sunday with highs only in the 30s. Look at those overnight lows as we head into next week, consistently down into the teens. And then Tuesday through Thursday, yeah, we're talking about temperatures that only make it into the 20s. Speaking of Super Bowl Sunday, still got a 50% chance for rain in Tampa all throughout the duration at the end of the weekend.
How the Missouri legislature is working to counter any future federal gun laws, plus why COVID-19 cases are trending downward, and how one local company says it's bringing the fight to COVID-19.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, why former President Trump is rejecting a request to testify at his impeachment trial. And after our Nation Watch segment, we're giving you the chance to test your football knowledge with Run It Back Trivia. You can participate for the chance to win a $50 gift card. All you need to do is to go to KOAMnewsnow.com/trivia. But first, a check on your forecast.
Skywatch storm tracker for most of the Midwest. Our biggest problem is just the cold temperatures that we're experiencing right now from the Freeman Health System sky camera, where we sit at 28 degrees. Humidity, that is very dry for this time of the morning, 66%. Luckily, we stay out of the fray of any high wind advisories or red flag warnings, anything of that nature. Wind has shifted coming in from the southwest right now. 27 in Lamar, 25 in Independence, and 26 in Neosho. As far as our winds, we will have some gusts of 20 miles per hour later on today, but we're able to hang in that 5 to 10 range right now. But you factor in that wind, 18 is what it feels like in Independence, 19 in Mount Vernon, 16 in both Iola, Nevada, and Stockton. For the bus stop forecast, sunrise over Joplin, 7:17. Bundle them up. That's the biggest thing about today. Look at the upper plains, though. Whoo! Could be a whole lot worse. They're rolling some negative numbers up there. Dangerously cold temperatures, as they've got a number of watches and warnings just trying to keep people inside and keep them safe. Our weather trend is actually going to put us back up into the high 40s, low 50s, pretty much on par for where we'd be this time of February. Here comes more rain, though, on Saturday. Works in from the west. And not only that, we'll have a little snow on top of it for the north. Watch that snow spread down for the afternoon hours. South and along of I-44 going to remain as rain. 7-day forecast. And that's Arctic blast number 2 for us, as those temperatures next week going to sit in the 20s. about what it feels like in the studio right now.
No kidding. Yeah, it feels like it's in the 20s. Yeah. All right. Whew. Well, we can change that. We can fix that.
I've been
not
trying.
outside.
I've been trying.
We can't work with Mother Nature, but we can handle the
We
indoors.
can handle, yeah, you're right. We can
Yeah.
handle the interior.
All right, thanks, Michael. Missouri House and Senate are working in tandem on legislation to counter future federal gun laws. In the House, the bill is known as the Second Amendment Preservation Act. It seeks to invalidate federal laws or other actions deemed to infringe on a person's Second Amendment right to bear arms. The legislation would allow someone to sue police departments starting at $50,000. Opponents, including some police agencies, say that would amount to defunding the police. The state Senate is working on identical legislation. Missouri's governor reports COVID-19 numbers are on a downward trend. In a news conference yesterday, Governor Parsons said the positivity rate for COVID-19 tests has dropped dramatically.
On the COVID-19 front, we continue to make progress each day. Missouri's positivity rate is down to 9.3%, 15 points lower than a high of 24.4 in November. Hospitalization has significantly decreased as well. This is extremely encouraging news, and I want to again thank Missourians for their efforts.
Governor also said 600,000 Missourians will have received a vaccine by the end of this week, and that number remains lower than expected. Governor says that's due to a supply issue. The governor said he addressed that issue with the president's office on a governor's call, and he expects it to be remedied in a few weeks. Coronavirus has been rough on many businesses, but it's also helped create some new ones, and that includes Carl Junction Company and Envirotex LLC. That's in the business of disinfecting everything in rooms, including the air, with an electrostatic sprayer. EPA says that electrostatic sprayers apply a positive charge to a liquid disinfectant, and that positively charged disinfectant then attaches to negatively charged surfaces, which allows for a more efficient coating. Envirotex LLC provides a fogging service, which is a method endorsed by the CDC to disinfect both surfaces and the air, and uses a product found on the EPA's in list of COVID-19 disinfectants.
That we use, it kills all airborne pathogens. It is not specific to COVID. People are all talking about COVID. That is the big push right now. But what we also do is it also kills the flu. MRSA, mold, bacteria.
In social services in all realms.
Grant says the question she gets most often is how often should the surface be used? She says there's no concrete answer because it depends on how busy a business or building is, but she typically recommends bi-monthly foggings. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Why a voting technology company is suing some allies of former President Trump over election fraud. And after that, we're challenging you to run it back trivia with a winner getting a $50 gift card. To participate, you'll need to go to KOAMnewsnow.com/trivia. But first, it's 6:37.
Below the freezing mark right now, with temperatures in the mid to high 20s, but eventually able to make it up into the high 40s and low 50s. Whole lot of sunshine this afternoon, but we do have rain and even some snow on the horizon by the time we get into Saturday afternoon. We'll be back with Nation Watch next.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, former President Trump has rejected a request that he testify at his Senate impeachment trial next week. The president's lawyers are calling the idea a publicity stunt, but impeachment managers suggest they could still require him to show up and defend himself against the single charge of incitement of insurrection. A voting technology company is suing Fox News and some allies of former President Donald Trump over election fraud claims. Smartmatic filed a $2.7 billion lawsuit on Thursday. It alleges election conspiracy theories jeopardized the company's survival. The theories included that Smartmatic's technology allowed the November vote to be rigged against President Trump. Trump's former personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, and pro-Trump attorney, Sidney Powell, are named in the lawsuit, along with Fox News host Lou Dobbs, Maria Bartiromo, and Jeanine Pirro. Along with the money, the company also sent a legal notice to Fox News demanding a complete retraction of all false and defamatory statements. That's a look at today's top national stories. It's now time for our Run It Back trivia. And we're going to bring in a couple of our resident sports experts, both Jesse and Michael.
Famous last words.
Well, Tanya, in a few seconds, we're going to pop up a simple trivia question on the screen. So make sure you have your phone, your tablet, or your computer. Michael, you keep explaining.
All right, so here's the deal. We're going to pop up 3 questions, and it's not just about getting them right. You also get additional points for how quickly you can answer each of it. We're going to start this in about 30 seconds, so you guys still got time to log on. All you have to do is go to KOAMnewsnow.com/trivia. KOAMnewsnow.com/trivia. And once Jesse gives you the question, we're going to give you about 13 seconds to go ahead and answer it. But once again, time is of the essence, as the faster you answer it, the more points that you get. Now, our winner receives a $50 gift certificate. And at the end of it, you're going to see a form there at the bottom. Should you end up in first place, all you got to do is make sure you fill out the appropriate information so we make sure we get your gift card to you.
And we all know if there is a contest where you're trying to get dressed the fastest, you would not want Jesse Irwin on your team.
How did it look?
You did good. You got it on.
I grew up a Steelers fan. You
good?
This looks better on me than
Red is your color.
Yeah. Well,
I like it. We're all in red.
Are you ready? All right, let's do this. First question for you, okay? Which of the following players did not have their jersey retired? Was it Lenny Dawson, Tony Gonzalez, Derek Thomas, or Willie Lanier? Which one? Did not.
Which one did not have their jersey retired?
Everybody's going Tony. You think that's right?
I'll give it a couple more seconds, then.
That is right, because it's just recency.
It just comes down to when he retired?
Right. I mean, eventually he will, clearly.
88, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he'll be in the old ring.
Okay. All right. Well, next one. Here we go. Which Kansas City Chiefs player once starred in a reality show? Was it Priest Holmes, Travis Kelce, or Joe Montana? Tanya, what's your guess?
What a reality show it is.
You have a guess on this one, Tanya?
I know the answer. And
you
it's
do
with
know
the
the
majority
answer?
right there. Yeah.
Is it Travis Kelce?
That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Survey says. Oh.
Yeah, we learned a lot about Travis Kelce during the course of that show.
All right, final question of the day. What Chiefs radio announcer coined the phrase, "Oh baby, what a play"?
Michael knows this one, that's for sure.
This dude is funny as all
What
get
are our
out.
options there, Jesse?
I mean, this dude is funny as all get out.
Harmon.
It's Kevin Harlan.
Is it Kevin Harlan?
Yeah, it's Kevin Harlan.
He also coined that phrase. We just saw man fly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a fun fact.
Harlan is something else.
Oh yeah. Well, those are our 3 questions a day. That means our winner is
viewer 2306.
All right.
All right, this is why you got to fill out that form. That's why you got to fill out that form at the bottom.
Absolutely.
We gotta know who that is.
Give it a number right there. Oh my gosh, this is a close one.
It is a
holy criminy.
Look at that. Is that a 14-point difference right there?
Yeah, that's the closest one we had all week. 14 points separated first and second.
If you got second or third, make sure you fill out that form too.
Hey, while we're wrapping this up, I want to thank everybody for your engagement all week long. For those of you that took part, we've seen the participation numbers exponentially grow from Monday all the way to Friday, and we've had such success with this thanks to you at home. We've had such a success with this that hopefully we can find other ways to bring this back and have some fun with it in the future, because it has been tremendous.
It really has. Well, make sure you fill out the form. We're going to do this again very soon, but for the 3 of us, I think you guys have some birthdays to cover, right?
Yeah, and we've got a big game to get ready for, so.
Indeed we do.
There we go. We'll be right back. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Specialist Stephen Potter, a member of the United States Army. He served during Desert Storm from 1990 to 91. His hometown, Minden Mines, Missouri. We are proud to salute Stephen Potter our 4-state hero.
Birthday list begins with a very happy Carver Mellon, who's celebrating his 2nd birthday. Happy birthday, Carver in Joplin.
All right. He's having fun with
Get
his
messy.
cake. You gotta love that. You gotta love it. All right. Megan Pack is now 7 strong. Look at that cake. That's humongous. Megan is in Galesburg.
Now, Kessler Nesbitt may have moved across the country, but the former kiddo from Oswego wants you to know that Poppy and Nani, who reside in the 4 states, sending you birthday wishes and a happy 7th birthday.
All right. George O'Banion turning 8 years old this year in Pittsburgh. Birthday coming up on Sunday. From what I understand, that little doggy there, Maggie, is also going to be turning 8 years old. Happy birthday wishes coming from Mama.
Avery Marsh, celebrating her 9th birthday. Avery, wants you have a marvelous day. She's in Fort Scott.
That's a pretty picture. I like that. Jex Cheney got a birthday coming up this weekend on the Super Bowl day. That'll be fun for him because you can obviously tell he's a fan. Jex is in Columbus, turning 10 this year.
Hey, Katie Haney, we got special love from Daddy, Mommy, Gracie, and Wyatt. Love the hat, kiddo, and a happy 12th to you.
All right, in Galena, Caitlin Thompson celebrating birthday number 12 this year.
Aspen Kellogg, she is celebrating her 14th birthday. Have a great day, Aspen. She's in the knack.
All right. And Jessica Rosalind turning 23 years old. Jessica celebrating in Yates Center with birthday wishes from Dad, Mom, and all your friends. And we thank you for your service at Mercy Hospital in Joplin.
Look at that, PSU grad, now working at Mercy. Too cool.
Love
Happy
it.
birthday. Kelsey Shepard is turning 27. Kelsey, happy birthday in Baxter Springs.
Birthday wishes from the family going out to Brandy Blakesley, who's now 36 years old. Brandy's in Carl Junction.
And Paul Schultz, I want you to know that these birthday wishes come from your wife, Ashley. Paul, a happy 37th.
Like the picture. Ryan Ashmore turning the big 4-0 this weekend. That's a reason to smile there. Ryan, happy birthday in Girard.
Speaking of the 4-0, Gina Bowers. She's celebrating her 40th as well. Gina's in Parsons.
All right. Candy Wheeler turning 70 this year. Looking great there, Candy. See, you're a Chiefs fan too, in Erie, Kansas.
Hey, I know who this is. Miss Sandy Wommeldorf. She's celebrating her 72nd birthday. I don't know if that's self-proclaimed about, but she used to live in Pitcher, but now Sandy's in Parsons. Happy birthday, Sandy.
I haven't heard that phrase in a while, Mike.
I haven't either.
I think that was a fun group of people, and they'd be okay with you saying it.
You go ahead.
All right. Former chat rat from Pitcher, Oklahoma. Yeah. You got to be proud of your roots. There you go. Tom Christie turning 77 years old in Fort Scott. Happy birthday, Tom.
Now at Prairie Mission Village, let's all socially distance and wish Phyllis Culp a happy 78th birthday. This is Phyllis. This comes from Steve and Melanie. A happy birthday.
All right, happy birthday. Happy birthday wishes going out to Irma Putnam, who's now 92 years old. Looking good there, Irma, in Joplin.
In Crestline, congratulations to Mary and Paul Cupp as they celebrate their 38th anniversary.
All right, and Bob and Mary Owen are celebrating their 40th anniversary. A little throwback wedding picture there, gotta love it. 40 years, they're in Chanute.
And we've got a 50th anniversary for Roger and Debbie Wisdom. That's a gorgeous picture as well right there. Congratulations to half a century of marriage. Roger and Debbie are in Senate.
And what?
Who that is?
All right, this little lady done a lot for us here at KOAM.
She doesn't have a hat on.
You know, every now and then you get to see her at the end of the show, running our cameras. Miss Charles C. Eberly, news assistant extraordinaire. We're gonna even have her on the morning show some next week, I think.
Happy birthday, my friend.
Happy birthday, Charles C. Hope you have a great day.
Well, that'll be up to her noon producer.
Oh man, I'm gonna give her a lot of stuff to. All right.
Happy birthday, diminutive one. Becky Shanholzer, she's celebrating a birthday. Lori Patton, a happy birthday in the knack. And Orrin Hayward, he is celebrating his 8th birthday. He's a 2nd grader. Uma and Papa Hayward, they love you to the moon and back, big kiddo.
Coy, it's your birthday today. I did not know that. You better come see me. Coy Chisholm Jr. turning 34 years old in Pittsburgh. Happy birthday, Coy. And old man Tom Berry.
I don't know who came up with that for Tom.
I like it though.
I do too.
We don't have an age. We'll just call him an old man.
No, I'm with you, Tom. That's what they call me around here too.
Well, especially today since he can't hear anything.
Touche. Happy birthday, happy anniversary to all. Here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. Once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Don't bother me. Look at our day plan full of today. Sunrise at 7:17 over Joplin, and despite the fact that our wind chills have been as low as 16 degrees on this Friday morning, we're actually going to be able to make it up into the low 50s as far as the regional planner goes. Remember, we've got action that's going to kick in here. For Saturday, it'll present itself as rain to begin with, and then it'll flip back over to some snow here by the time we get into Saturday afternoon. So just be apprised of that if you're traveling up to the north. 7-day forecast will show you that our secondary cold front, that's right, yesterday wasn't the only one. Secondary cold front's going to drop us back down to the 20s for next week. Look at those overnight lows. Woo. Now don't forget, it is the end of our Spirit Week as we count down to Super Bowl 55 that's coming up right here on KOAM. But also, too, I wanted to point out it's National Wear Red Day. This raises awareness about heart disease and stroke in women. And if you send us your picture of you wearing that Chiefs red, we compile those pictures and then run them on our evening newscast and also on Jacob Leonard's upcoming Super Bowl schedule and our countdown to kickoff shows. We are 2 days, 10 hours, and 33 minutes away from Super Bowl 55. Tanya?
All right, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. In the battle against the coronavirus, Johnson & Johnson has asked the FDA to approve emergency use of its single-dose vaccine. That raises the hope of the U.S. having a 3rd vaccine within weeks as the country tries to speed up the slow-going vaccination effort. The Missouri House and Senate are working in tandem on legislation to counter future federal gun laws. In the House, the bill is known as the Second Amendment Preservation Act. It seeks to invalidate federal laws or other actions deemed to infringe on a person's Second Amendment right to bear arms. Legislation would allow someone to sue police departments starting at $50,000. Opponents, including some police agencies, say that would amount to defunding the police. The state Senate is working on identical legislation. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Remember, tune in tomorrow right here on Channel 7, KOAM, for our special Super Bowl Run It Back. Jacob Leonard has interviews with former Chief Kendall Gammon, score predictions, and a lot more. That's Saturday night at 6:30 right here on Channel 7, or is it running today as well?
Yeah, it's running tonight.
Yeah, or you can catch it early on Fox 14 tonight at 6:30.
Put a lot of work into that. He's done a wonderful job. Hey, I want everybody to have a great, safe Friday, a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Super Bowl. We'll do this all again on Monday morning.